we're going to look at how to open the code for the housing unit allocation and intersect community data on a local machine. One option, so we go to the Zenodo, click on the GitHub. Right now, the Zenodo is in version 2.01, and we can change that to get the more recent version, but so that's one key thing to try to do is change the version to the main branch. So this is the most recent version. It's got some updated names and workflows. One option for running the housing unit allocation, housing unit inventory method is to click on My Binder, and My Binder will create a virtual Jupyter environment that will have all the required settings. So that's one option. If you do that, it'll load up in a virtual environment. It takes a few minutes. And then you want to select the Encoda AV1 run housing unit inventory version 2. Once you're in here, we'll just run this in the background while we're looking at the other option is to select run all cells. And the program will run. Right now it's set up to run for Lumberton, North Carolina. If you want to do this for different counties, you'll need to update the code here for the county or counties that you want to get data for. And here's an example of how to do it for multiple counties or for a single county. So this is going to run in the background while we look at how to run this on a local machine. So this is the process has started. It takes a few minutes to run. So we're in a GitHub, and what we want to do is add this to my local machine. So to do this, initially what I need to do is create a fork for this. And it's always good to star a project if you're going to fork it. So that gives you and gives you a way to keep track of it. So when we create a fork, what's happening is it's actually putting a copy of the current repository in your account. So in this case, Mistura has her account, and this is now going to be added to her account. What this means is you'll have control and power over your version of the Intersect Community Data repository. That'll be on your it'll be on your account, and you can make any changes, you can edit it, and also you can, if in the future I make updates to the project, you can pull it back to your account, and you'll have the most recent version on your account. Or in the future, if you want to contribute to the project, you can make changes on your version and then push it to the main project. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to create fork. And now notice that we're no longer in the NPR 99 account, but we're actually in this account for Mistura on GitHub. So this is a copy of the repository. You can contribute if you make changes that you want to contribute. You can contribute to the main project, and if you need to do a sync, you can sync the backwards, or so if I make changes, let's just try to make a little change So I'm going to open the README file just to show how changes can happen. I'm going to edit this file. This is a markdown file, so it's just text. So we can see all the text that's in here. And I'm just going to make a minor change and add Mistura Lafayette to this here. So I'm making a really small change, update, add, and you want to just add, when you make a commit, add a little note about the commit, and you can make a description also. I'm going to commit this change. And now there's a change to this file. If I go back to the main here, if I see contribute, you'll click on open a pull request. So what this is saying is I'll get an email that says Mistura has made a change. And then I can accept your change, and on my README file, it'll say under acknowledgements, the change. So just, create a pull request. You can also do a draft pull request if you're not ready to make the change. And that's it. And then all on my end, if I were to share my side, I'm looking at my account, and I see now that there's a new pull request from Mistura. I click on the pull request. I say that looks fine, looks good. I can see your changes, and then I say merge pull request, confirm that I'm going to merge the pull request. You get a note that says that it's been merged. And then if we go to see here that we're in my account, and we scroll down to the bottom, that's the change has been made. So that's how GitHub works, where you've got a version on your profile. In a second here, we're going to add it to your computer, and then you can make changes on your end, and then push and pull those requests to my version, and then that'll keep track of it. And the other nice thing that just happened is now your name shows up as a contributor to the project. One thing you might do at some point is add your picture, add your name to your profile, and add, kind of make your profile a little bit, have more information. So we want to open this on GitHub for desktop. I don't know that you have it installed on your computer, so we'll install it. It's a free program. I just clicked on it. It says you don't have it. We want to download it. Put it in your downloads folder. It'll only take a second. It's not a very big program. Let's see if you have permission to do this. That could be a gotcha if you don't have permissions on your computer, but it should be installing it on in your profile. So we'll see if it works. GitHub for desktop is just a kind of a low profile software that allows you to connect your GitHub repository to your local machine, and so the files will be on your local machine, but also GitHub will help keep the files up to date. on your local machine. So it's a nice thing to do. I'm going to authorize access to your account, which is Mistura 10. It's going to have access to your repository that's there. It needs you to type in your password if you know what it is. So here we've just given access to GitHub for Desktop to the account. I'm going to go ahead and change the email to Mistura's email name, use GitHub account and name and email address, but that's, so we're just going to say finish. Create a tutorial repository or clone a repository from the internet. So this is what we're going to clone, is the intersect community data, because that's already in your, if you hadn't forked it to your account, it wouldn't be there. But because you forked it to the account, that's why you can see it in here. Now, here's one of the important things. It's going to try to save this. It's going to save everything on your local machine. So we need to choose a folder that's appropriate for this. It doesn't really matter exactly where the folder is. It just needs to be in a place where you know where it's at. So, you know, I think you go into like users and then Mistura Safayette, you have all your folders in here. Sometimes I like to do create a My Projects folder in your folder there, and then a new folder, and this we can call Encoda, which is the name for the on GitHub. And we'll just select this folder. So it's going to put all of the files for the repository, everything that you need for all the code is going to go into this project folder. Again, it doesn't really matter what you name the project folder or where you save the project folder. What does matter is keeping track of where that actually is on your computer. So now that we're in GitHub for Desktop, we're in the area, and what I want to do is I want to open this actually in what's called Visual Studio Code. And this Visual Studio Code is a better way to work with the files and have a better access to what's out there. So I'm going to go back to GitHub, NPR 99. And I have a little description in the repository for my course on data management and urban analytics. That'll help us here. So contributor guide. We just installed GitHub for Desktop on Mistura's machine. We already have Anaconda. So the Anaconda is already installed on Mistura's machine. But what she doesn't have is Visual Studio Code. So we're gonna add this to Mistura's machine. Again, a fairly small program. Let's see if we can install it. going to install on Mistura's user folder, so it shouldn't cause a shouldn't take very long. Visual Studio Code is pretty flexible. There's a lot of packages or extra things to add to Visual Studio Code. And so once we get, and you can also change like the color and the design of it. So you can have like different color themes. And for now, we'll just leave it as it is. You can learn some, yeah, I think if you go back to this, you can look at the some of the fundamentals. I'll talk about a few here. You can do, it's got a split editor. So it's one of the reasons why it's nice to have a big monitor. So you can have two things running at the same time. Over here are extensions, and I'm going to just install some of the extensions that I have installed. One thing that's really helpful for me is what's called code spell check. Another one that is good is Jupyter. And Jupyter key map, which is comes with Jupyter, so it's both installed. Jupyter notebook render is another good one. It actually looks like it's already installed. It probably got installed with should make sure that Python is installed. And Python, there's PyLance, which comes with Python, so that's installing. And one thing that helps also looking at PDF files is PDF. So there's a lot of, as you see when I was searching, there's lots of packages that you can install, and a Google search and can help you kind of figure out what you want. So now that we've installed VS Code in GitHub for desktop, we have a new button that says open in VS Code. No, I gotta make sure I'm on your. Oh, here we go. Am I on your computer or am I on my computer? I've lost track of. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Your button. I was clicking on my computer. So let me close this out for a second because it probably doesn't realize that we have VS Code. I think maybe once you restart your computer, you should have a button that'll come up that says open in VS Code, and that'll be easier, but we don't necessarily need, we can open the folder from the My Projects folder. And we want to select this folder. It's going to say, do you trust the author of Encoda? Say, I do trust the authors of Encoda. Oh, it says it needs to have Git, so we need to download Git. Here to download. So it's good we're doing this on Mastura's machine because I've got this all set up on my machine already. So it would be hard to demonstrate how to do all these things. So it's always good to have a new computer to see how this works. I'm just accepting all of the basic requirements. Lots of things to look at. All right, well, that's loading. So we're back in Visual Studio Code. We can see the different programs that are on the repository. One of the things that it's almost finished. One of the things that you need to have is make sure that you have the Python environment set up. Mastura's got several Python environments set up, and for now, like the PyEncore environment should have everything that we need. So this is designed to run so this is saying allow Visual Studio Code to communicate with networks, public network, private networks, domain networks. They allow access. So we should have everything installed. Git is installed. Visual Studio Code is installed. GitHub for Desktop is installed. So let's see if I just click run all, what happens? So it ran that first block. Okay, so it's saying that we don't have Scooby installed. So that's a package that's unique to this. So if we go to, this is where we go to Anaconda prompts. We say Conda activates PyEncore environment. Switches to the new for this environment, and then we say Conda install Scooby. So this is just going to add Scooby, which is a nice package to look at what you have installed on your computer. If for some reason Conda install Scooby doesn't work, we can double check. It might be pip install Scooby. And once we've added this to the PyEncore environment, then when we run this again in a second, it should automatically include Scooby as a package. Here it says that little warning that came up was that a newer version of Conda exists. So we might, what this means is we probably need to run Conda update Conda to get this to updated just for. So here we want to say yes to installing Scooby. So just take a second with good internet access. It's installed. So if we go back where this error, the error should go away. There we go. Gives us a little report. And now I'm going to go ahead and run everything, everything below. All right, so here another module that's not installed is FPDF. I believe this one is potentially not Conda. If I say install Python, here it's pip install FPDF. So go back to my Anaconda prompt, install FPDF. And that just installed. Okay, now we're back to Visual Studio Code. Try this one more time. Okay, I think this is because there's two versions of FPDF2. And let me just double check. I think there's an FPDF2. So I think what I need to do is just go in and install FPDF2. Python install FPDF2. Just a little confusion there, so that's but a good example of a gotcha. So here I want to do conda uninstall FPDF. It'll remove FPDF. I just want to remove it just because it could be confusing. If I add FPDF2, there might be some something complicated could happen if it has two Python packages, but it probably won't make any major difference. But we want to do FPDF2. And I made a mistake. I tried to do conda uninstall FPDF, but it's actually pip uninstall. So we use pip to install the package, and we need to use pip to uninstall the package. So now that's taken care of. So instead of FPDF, I need to do FPDF2. And it's gonna, hopefully it did something. It says packages installed. Let's go back now to Visual Studio Code. Try this one more time. And let's see. Seaborn. All right, so getting all that. This is good. I've had this installed on my computer for a while, and I've lost track of all of the packages that you need to have installed. So Seaborn is a nice package for doing visualizations. It makes really nice graphs. So this is a good tutorial on one, how to use GitHub, how to, I definitely prefer Visual Studio Code for interacting with the code, and it's connected to Git, which is a way to change. If you make changes to any of the code, it'll be recorded in the cloud. So we just added Seaborn. Hey, look at that. So now we've got everything installed on the computer, and all the packages are here. So what this is actually doing is it's connecting the code, because this Encoda package has not been published. It's just in GitHub. It's not a package you can install like we just did with Seaborn or FPDF2 or the packages that we just installed. It needs to be on your local machine, and then we need to connect the system path to the location where the code is, which is in the Mr. Ru's My Projects folder. So here, whenever that's installed, it's actually going and getting the code from the PyEncoda folder, which is here. And then, for example, community source data, API, these are all the these names are actually the folder names. And then we can see that this code, it's loading the code from the HUI functions. And then so this is a nice thing, we can split the screen. From here, we're importing HUI workflow functions, which is this class of functions. So you could go through the same process and look at the directory design, codebook, figures, the API, census.gov, data structure. So that's what you can, when you read these are folders and files that contain code that the system is running. So, again, if we run this and everything below, it will start working. And similar to what we saw on my binder is happening on this local machine. So here it created an output folder. This program just did this now. So it's creating an output folder for Robeson County, North Carolina. It created all of these folders, and now it's working through the process of downloading the census data, cleaning the census data, creating the base inventory, doing some of the random merges, and then producing an output file that we'll see in a second. So when we go over to the My Binder, looks like My Binder maybe has stopped working for while we were not away, but My Binder did the same thing. It was a little bit easier to use My Binder because it did all the packages for us. But like it just is happening here, My Binder timed out. And then, yeah, but it ran all of the code and then produced this output. So this is now happening on Mastura's local machine as it's running. So for example, when I say it's happening on the local machine, if I go into on Mastura's computer and look at her My Projects folder, go into, it was users, Mastura Safayette. If I can see the word My Projects, that would be helpful. I don't know why I couldn't see that a second ago, but maybe it was there. What was happening on the computer, is actually this is on Mastura's local machine. So she has now the output file that has the housing unit inventory for Lumberton, North Carolina, and that process just finished, and it created the housing unit inventory for Lumberton for 2010, and we have all these variables that are in the file, and it also created the code book, which is really important to look at, which has the overview of the project and all of the definitions for each variable and notes on the variables. So this is a good tool for understanding all of the variables that are in the project. So we just covered a lot. Mastura, do you have any questions?
Not from now. It's really helpful.
Good. So now you have all of the code on your local machine. Your high-end core environment that we were just in is set up to run the code, and you can modify the code by changing the name of the county, and the FIPS code is the most important part, but updating the FIPS code is there. I'll be making changes to the project. Let me actually, sorry, just get control of your computer one more time. So just like we showed using GitHub to make changes, this is the README file. This is the file that is in the acknowledgements. I'm just going to make another minor change. This is just a little note. I mean, not really required, but just a little detail. I'm going to hit Control S and save this. And we should see over here at the top a little number 1. And I think this, oh, remember this is what I need to look download. We did download this. Open it. So we already downloaded this. So what I'm going to do is exit. We've already saved everything. We're going to exit out. Go back to here. So here you can make this commit either once we get the get working in your VS code. You'll have the same option. So here we're going to update. I'm just going to say minor update to README. Testing this for I'm going to say commit to main. Then you say push origin. So this is pushing it from your local machine to GitHub. And then when we go back to Mastura's GitHub account, we see the minor update to the README testing process. So that's what we just did. And we go to the bottom of here, we see the change, which is now in the cloud. So it's synced with the cloud. And then, as we just did a second ago, I'm going to click contribute, open pull request, say create pull request. On my computer, I just got a notification that says I have a new pull request. And if I go to it, I can go and see that there's a new pull request, and then I can click on it, and I can say merge pull request, confirm merge, and then Mastura gets a notification that I just accepted the merge. And when we go to my project, intersect community data, and scroll to the bottom, the change has been incorporated into the main branch of the project. So Mastura's got a fork in the branch on her local machine now. If she makes changes or wants to make changes, she pushes those to her computer, commits those to her computer, her GitHub through either VS Code or GitHub for desktop. And then once that's on her fork, she can say contribute to the main branch, and that'll come up on my side. I don't have to accept a merge. If I have an issue with the merge, I can make a comment and send it back to Mistura with a comment that says, hey, can you make this change, or can you make this change, you know, do something different? Or I can reject a contribution request. Very good. That's a lot of material. I'm glad I recorded this, and hopefully it'll help other people interested in contributing to this project.